Welcome to Baseball Biz. I'm Mark Carbett, your host, and with me today, I have none other than Mr. Phil Terrano, formerly of Primetime Sports Group, and now heading up the baseball division as Vice President of Development there at Agency One Sports Group. Congratulations on the joining there, Phil.
Thank you very much, Mark. It's a pleasure to be back on your show. I appreciate you inviting me, and it's good to talk to you again. I appreciate the compliments.
Wow, man. So this is brand spanking new about the merger, right? You and Agency One?
Yeah, roughly about a few weeks old now at this point. It was something that was in the works for a little bit of time. Finally, we pulled the trigger on it. Couldn't be happier. I'm excited to be a part of Agency One Sports Group and being in the baseball division with them. We're very well known for their football division with the likes of some guys, Devin Singletary and Levante David and Denzel Perryman, and to name just a few. But now we are building our portfolio in our baseball division, and with the merger, it really kind of took a good leap into the right direction and implementing Primetime Sports Group into Agency One.
Well, and I can appreciate it because you look at what happened with Primetime Sports Group. You built that up quite a bit. I mean, you got up to, I guess you probably got over 40 clients now.
Yeah, been representing about. Started out slow, building my portfolio up as the years went along. Now we're sitting at around 40 clients, stateside and internationally.
Wow. Right now, it's kind of an interesting time, Phil, too. I'm looking and I'm thinking, somebody put the big thumbprint on pause for the world of baseball right now. We're all great fans. We're all excited about this, but we understand that right now there are still some, discussions or points that still need to be ironed out between Major League Baseball and the Players Association.
Yeah, we're just looking forward to getting back on the field here as quickly as possible. That's, that's basically as much as I can get into it with that. Look, we're just coming off probably one of the best World Series I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I'm 43 years old, and I've been around this game pretty much my whole life. And I couldn't have asked for, as a fan as well as as an agent, couldn't have asked for a better World Series. So we're going to get baseball back here soon. That much I can tell you.
And there's a lot of excitement about that too. We look at, some people have been saying baseball has been waning, but the activity of this last World Series and getting up to it, the postseason was all exciting, and seeing the Braves build back up. You look at what they did as far as bringing in guys after the All-Star game, man.
Yeah,
they brought in 4 guys who just really made a big difference too. They already had a good base, but
yeah,
didn't wait to do that.
Yeah, no. Look, again, that's what baseball's all about. Teams that are going to go out there and put their best foot forward, whether it's off season or during season, midway point, trade deadline, whatever have you. It was exciting to see. They added the additional pieces that they needed to take that opportunity and head into, hopefully a good situation, and it worked out for them. That's the exciting part about baseball, along with the fans and the hot dogs and all the behind the lights and scene stuff. That's what baseball's all about, making sure you can be competitive on the field and, continue to keep working hard and winning world championships. That's what it's all about. And I couldn't be more excited for the game that I love, and the direction we're all heading into. The sport's getting more exciting. There's more athletic players every single year. I'm just really excited the way our sport has become, and I'm happy to be a part of it.
Well, I know that you grew up in Queens, didn't you? Queens, New York?
Yeah, I grew up in Queens, New York, and then was moved out to Florida. It's Queens is a home base. So obviously the New York Mets. I grew up a Yankee fan, just because of my family and where they were from. Living in Queens and then saying you're a Yankee fan didn't always go over too well. But, now I have to say I'm a fan of every single team. Wherever my players are, that's who I'm a fan of.
That's right.
So I don't show any alliance towards any individual team. I root for my players. I root for the teams that they're on. I root for their success in their careers.
It's been interesting watching some because, as this deadline came up, I was curious to see how many of these players would have contracts prior to the aforementioned deadline. And, were those contracts going to be 10-year contracts? Were they going to be 1-year contracts, 3-year contracts? And they were all over the place. They didn't fit a formula. I thought, well, they're going to be more and more short year. Now they took some that were like, it started out with an extension, say Wander Franco with the Rays, he's got a nice long period of time for that one. I think it's about 11 years. And you look at
Yep.
Scherzer, what? Here he is, and I think it's a 3-year contract with the Mets.
Yeah, I got a 3-year deal.
Yeah,
Kudos to him and all his success.
$130 million contract. So 37-year-old pitcher who said something about having a dead arm in postseason, but the talent is there and everybody knew it. But the biggest thing I mentioned to you before we got started with the show was looking back and seeing this pause on baseball made me think of the beginning of COVID. And you as a sports agent, it's like, okay, where's the talent out there? Because the high schools have shut down. The colleges have shut down playing baseball. There's no minor league team being played in 2020, right? So what were you guys able to do as far as finding talent during that period of time? What happened?
It's interesting. As a sports agent, whether we're recruiting or going to client maintenance and seeing our players and our clients throughout the course of the season, a lot of people see the game. They get to the ballpark or 5-6 o'clock for BP, and game starts at 7:05 or whatever the case may be, whatever area you're in, whatever team you're going to see that day. Game's over 2.5, 3 hours later, 4 hours later, depending on the game and how long it goes, obviously. A lot of people don't think about all the preparation that gets to the game too. It's not just the BP. Players are getting to the yard, 7 o'clock game start, usually around 12:30, 1 o'clock, 1:30 at the latest. And they're there all day long and then all night long, obviously, doing whether it's some rehab stuff or, getting some treatments and things to kind of prepare for the game. And then they're out in the field taking their hacks and they're doing their infield stuff or outfield drills or whatever. And then the game starts for the fans. So for me to get to see my clients, it's either fit them into that small window before they go into the yard and get to see them prior to that, to the game starting and them getting to the field. And it's very short-lived because they have to, again, get themselves ready for the game that day. So maybe I'm meeting for them for breakfast at 9 or 10 o'clock or whatever the case may be. And then they're heading out and then I'll see them at the field for a couple of seconds, but they're, now they're in work mode. So like you and I, we go to work, we get into our work mode, we do our thing and we're focusing on what we have to do for our jobs. No different from a baseball player. They have to get there, they have to prepare and get ready for their job and get ready for that game. And then after the game, guy who's been there for, 9 or 10 hours and at the time, wants to go home, probably get some rest or see his family, who hasn't seen all day long. So there's very limited time to actually physically see your players unless they're on an off day or travel day or whatever the case may be. And I feel like from a recruitment standpoint, believe it or not, COVID actually helped me.
What?
Because, yeah, I mean, as strange as that sounds, COVID actually helped me because there was more time to jump on, i.e. a Zoom now, on a phone call, conference call, to get to know that person more on a one-on-one basis. Instead of trying to fit that in a 1 hour, 2 hour window, maybe if I was lucky, or even a 10-minute window to where we were on the field for BP and saying hello to them for a quick minute before they got back into, the turtle and hitting bombs for the fans, that was our limited time. So, or if it was after the game and, maybe meet up for, a quick bite to eat or a, just a little conversation. Again, now they're wanting to try to get back to their families or get back to the hotel or back to their homes, get some rest and do it all over again the next day. I feel like my time was so much limited to where you can really get into knowing somebody. And that's a key point of this business is getting to know your client, getting to know what they like on and off the field. And I think that's a very big key point to success in this industry is being on a good one-on-one basis with your client, knowing everything about them. And it's hard to learn that in an hour. Nobody can, you know what I mean? And then we're off to the next field or we're off to the next client. We're not, I think I said this the last time in your show, I'm not Jerry Maguire. I don't represent just one guy. As you mentioned, I represent 40 guys now. So at the same time, there's not enough time in the day sometimes to, get to every single person in a day. So you really have to spread around your time wisely and do the best to manage your time the best you can. And for me, I think COVID actually helped me to learn a lot more about people I was trying to recruit, learn a lot more about my clients that I currently had, speak to them more individually on a one-on-one basis, and really get to know that person inside and out. Whether it be from a baseball aspect or from an on the field, off the field situation.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you got a little more time. If there was anything good to come from it, that maybe you had a little more thorough conversation with those folks, a little better understanding.
Look, Mark, there's no place that I'd rather be than the baseball field. You know what I mean? But when it comes to recruitment, I could sleep at the field every night if you let me. But from a recruitment standpoint, you really want to get that individual personal time with that person. Even and not even just from a recruitment, from an agent to a client communication and a friendship and a business relationship. You want to get that one-on-one time, and I think that's very important.
Well, and I won't say with the advent of Zoom, but certainly the more of the use of Zoom during that time, it had help too, where you could actually meet with the player and probably the parents simultaneously with using Zoom.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, Zoom is, wish I would have bought stock in it. Zoom is, look, we had FaceTime for a while, that's something that obviously is never going to go away. But Zoom is really, really kind of taking it to the next level too, in order to conduct these good conference meetings and calls, and, being able to see your client, talk to your client, and do everything, from a 6-foot standpoint, if we have to keep it that way.
You and I on a previous interview on a previous show, I was asking you about where you find these folks, and you said something effective. Well, Mark, as far as the eye can see and as far as the plane will go, I think was what you said. And I thought, plane will go. I thought, that's interesting, because I thought, well, how about international signings? And what is it? Both ways I'm trying to think of that, and which one you may work with more. One, agents from other countries coming here, or two, players from here going to other countries. So which end of that do you probably work with most?
I've been doing a lot of deals over in the Asia market the last 4 or 5 years now. And it's been a very good, successful niche for me, and I enjoy it. I enjoy helping guys continuously prolong their careers a little bit longer than, maybe Major League Baseball will allow them to over here. Or some of those guys that kind of get into a situation where they're up and down guys, and they're looking to now support their families and make a little bit of extra money. So I've done a lot of, stateside players that wanted to go and be technically a foreigner overseas and do that. And it's been very successful. I really enjoy it. I have a team of people I work with over there that are very knowledgeable in that market, speak the language, which also obviously helps.
No doubt.
It's been a very successful situation for me. I enjoy it tremendously. It's really given me another sense of satisfaction and reward for a client to see them happy, saying, okay, well, it might not have worked out here, but there's other avenues I can pursue. And my agent has those connections, and my agents has those abilities, because there, quite frankly, there's a lot of agents that just don't want to do stuff over there, because whether it be a language barrier, whether it be just not a market they want to pursue or whatever. So I've, done pretty well of helping guys out that, want to go over there or are interested in finding out a little bit more about going over there, and helping broker those deals.
Wow. Well, that makes a difference. And I know, talking briefly earlier about COVID, I can't tell you much time I watched KBO watching Korean baseball and seeing Eduardo comment on it. And I was like, oh, I'm so glad we have something. Thank you very much.
I got up at 4:00 every morning and watched those games. So, and it was fun. And it's even more fun when you have a guy on the team. So, now it doesn't make get up so early, so hard, so you get to watch the game and enjoy it. But it's been fun. Like I said, everybody's got to find their niche and what they're great at. I feel like I'm great not only here in the States, but overseas as well. And that's being very versatile in an industry that needs it. You know what I mean? You have to be, willing to go the extra mile for your clients and not just be one-sided and say Major League Baseball, Major League Baseball, Major League Baseball. Yeah. There's other avenues out there to play. So,
I mean, there's limitation about who you're going to be able to get in the Major League Baseball just because of the size of rosters and the number of teams. It's just basic math. Then we were talking earlier about Scherzer, but there's a lot of players as they age, and you kind of mentioned this a moment ago. I look here, we're fortunate enough to still be able to see Rich Hill out there. Nelson Cruz still out there. Andrew Pujols, Mr. Pujols is out there, but they're the exception instead of the rule. as they age, there's still some players, and not necessarily they have to be on the cusp of 40, but there's still players out there who want to be in the game and probably sometimes realize I'm not going to enjoy necessarily the revenue that I was able to get, 5, 10 years ago. But my love for the game drives me that I still want to participate. And
Absolutely.
do you work with players like that?
Absolutely. If you watched a little bit of what's transpired here in the last couple of weeks, there's 27, 28, 29-year-old guys going over there now. So it's, look, again, there's an avenue for everybody to play if they have the talent and they have the drive to do it. So you kind of dissect those type of individuals and see what works best. Not everybody wants to go, and it's a long trip. Look,
Yeah.
there's days where I get up 6 o'clock in the morning, start my day, but I don't end it till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning because of the time difference over there. So, when I'm going to bed, they're getting up and we're starting their work day. And when I'm getting up, they're going to bed. So, it's a little bit of a different type of scenario to kind of be, waiting up until 3 o'clock in the morning for the phone to ring and try to negotiate a deal. And I've had the experience in that. There's been days and nights I've worked all night long, all day long. And that's a lot of dedication. Again, not every agent wants to pursue that avenue. I enjoy it. I enjoy going over there. The culture is awesome. The game of baseball is played exactly the same way.
Yeah.
There's no difference about it. It's baseball, catch ball, hit ball, and throw ball. So we do all that. And we do all that over here. We do all that over there in other areas. So it's really fun. And to me, again, it's really rewarding to help a guy out that may want to pursue different avenues of his career, whether it be because he was, I didn't say forced, but, put in a situation where he might have to look into that, or it's just something that they desire to do without having to be put in a position to have to do it, so there's all kinds of guys that want to go over there, and then, not always does it pertain to playing behind a Mike Trout or a Bryce Harper and not really getting an opportunity because those guys are probably always going to be in the lineup, or actually they're always going to be in the lineup. So if you're playing behind a guy like that, you may want to look into an avenue of going into a different direction, or you stake around and, maybe a trade happens for you or something of that nature. And then the opportunity opens up a little bit better.
And I wonder about it because, at this time of year, it's not surprisingly to see teams DFA a player because they need to make room on their roster for a new guy. And
yes, sir.
Sometimes I think they do that with not necessarily knowing who that new guy is going to be. They just decided, I really need strength over here in this position or that position. And sometimes I'm scratching my head. I said, you DFA that guy? Well, okay, I guess. But that player may not actually be picked up somewhere. And the instance of what you're talking, I'm glad to see people can continue their career if they choose to. So that's an exciting thing for me to see that. Talking about the young clients again, talking about coming in with a young player. One of the things I wanted to ask you about is, especially like during COVID, from the time of being able to get that player up for a draft, were agents giving players direction, whether it be training, whether it be, I don't know. I'm just trying to keeping them fresh. So it isn't like time just paused, the body aged for a year and there was no playing being done. There was some either coaching, there was given guidance, as far as actually what they do on the field. I guess the question is, was an agent able to give them some direction during a time like that?
During COVID and from an amateur level, is that basically what you're pertaining to?
Yeah.
Okay. So, look, during the pandemic, obviously there was a lot of things that got halted. College seasons got halted, high school seasons got halted. The draft was minimized a lot. We went from 40 rounds to 5 rounds that year. So that's a big difference, lesser of 35 rounds. So as far as guys during that time, look, we still always act as advisors on the amateur level. Okay. We're not really their agents again until they sign a professional contract. So you kind of just, speak to them, advise them, see how things are going to transpire, hope for the best and see what happens. I had one guy signed during the pandemic and his season obviously was canceled. He got signed after the draft as a free agent sign for that year. And they were doing this thing where if you signed after that, you got $20,000, okay, after the 5th round, and you signed as a free agent. So this is a guy who had a great college career, pitched in some really, really big games, went against number 1 Florida at that time and shut them down. Was the only player to beat them at that point in time during the season. Held them to basically no runs whatsoever. So there's a good player. And unfortunately, had the draft gone a little bit longer, it probably would have been drafted around that 6 to 10 round situation, potentially. Now, love to tell this story because that guy is in Double-A right now. Okay, now we're only in a couple of years, a year and a half of COVID. So he went from drafted or signed as a free agent, then to high A, to A ball situation, and now he's in Double-A and potentially going to be in Triple-A this year. Okay, that's a great story. You know what I mean? Whether it was because of the pandemic or not, it's not easy to get up that high that quickly. It's just not. So, testament to him on all his hard work and not giving up just because of no college season, didn't get drafted, signed as a free agent. Yeah, got a little bit of money, but that's not what it's about. It's about the opportunity. The opportunity always supersedes the money, in my opinion. Okay. Right. Maybe other people don't say that. I say it. You know why? Because we're all trying to get an opportunity in this game and very few do. So when you take the opportunity and not make it about the money, to me, success usually comes a little bit more. And I could be wrong in certain situations. Look, Bryce Harper, Mike Trout, those kind of guys, Max Scherzer, all those guys are great ball players, but they all got an opportunity. And now they're where they're at. And they're signing the kind of deals they're signing. So getting the opportunity leads to what? Getting money. So get the opportunity. Hopefully some where down the line, you're making that kind of money. And, and baseball has shown us that it's not afraid to pay players. Okay. Whether it's 3-year deals, 10-year deals, whatever, they're not afraid to play the players. So if they pay the players and you get your opportunity, you're in the driver's seat. For me, I like telling that story because it's a hard game to break through.
Yeah.
And despite COVID, despite not having a college season, if you have the will, if you have the drive, if you have the passion and the work ethic, good things will happen.
Well, that's good to hear. And I'm glad you shared that example with us because it is a difficult road to go. You and I talked before about, well, okay, yes, you're going from college football and you're going to college professional sport. Guess what? You're there. You're at the very tip top as soon as you step off of the college campus. But however, with baseball, you may be in Single-A, Double-A, Triple-A, getting up and rising through that. My own team, the Tampa Bay Rays, not surprisingly, we had the number 1 prospect for 2 years because we didn't bring him up, Wander Franco. He still needed some fine tuning as far as the team was concerned. And he's here now. But so even a talent like that isn't going to just rise up to the top immediately. Of course, he's only 20 years old. But,
yeah. The great thing to do is hear that your player has been the most surprising and the guy that they might not have said, look, they signed the guys for a reason. They like them, obviously, but sometimes they supersede expectations. So, and those are the best conversations to have when you're talking to an organization. You know what I mean? Oh, well, wow, we signed this guy for, whatever amount of money after the draft. He's in Double-A and he's been a huge surprise to us. Those are awesome conversations to have because I believed in that player. The player obviously believed in himself. And now the organization, although believing in him enough to sign him and to give them an opportunity, now to see that they superseded their expectations is even better.
No doubt. But so there certainly has to be a fulfillment or a sense of achievement when you see a player come up like that. Not that everybody's gonna be a Wander Franco, but to see somebody ascend, even like an example you gave earlier. We talked a little bit about this in the past. The people look for the 5 tools: hitting hard, power, running, fielding, and throwing, if I remember correctly. But also analytics is kind of laid on top of that as well. Has one superseded one the other, or are they kind of integrated together as far as the 5 tools and analytics?
Look, a player has 5 tools. He's 9 out of 10 times probably going to be a Hall of Famer or an All-Star. You know what I mean? They're very rare. 5 tools are very rare. You get a guy with 5 tools, you got something there. I'll take 2 to 3 tools. You know what I mean? That's something I want to see. I want to see a 2 to 3 tool guy, whether it's because of analytics, whether it's because of athleticism, whether it's because that's the way the organization sees them. It's great to see tools. You know, tools are what we need to perform at a high level in this game. So, not everybody has 5 tools. So, you don't see a starting 9 team, starting 9 roster, a lineup card that has 5 tool players at every single position. That's not realistic. But there's a guy out there with a tool, you know what I mean? And he has something, whether he throws well, he's got a great pop time. He's, athleticism, throws hard from the outfield, hits hard, in the batter's box, hits at 114 miles an hour off the bat with a 14-degree launch angle, or has a spin rate of 2,600. They have a tool. And that's why they're in the lineup.
Well, yeah, and that's part of it. I'm thinking, we mentioned before about the last show, Jerry Maguire. Say, hey, not Jerry Maguire. That, not to believe fiction anyway, but the whole idea, I think, since then is, what is it? The movie came out, Trouble with the Curve, and
I love that movie.
Yeah, it's great. I never know how realistic any of these things are, but I love the whole idea that here's a scout out there finding that talent. It's more than just they kind of contradict. Well, you just can't sit down with a spreadsheet.
Exactly.
You got to see that. You got to see the heart of the player, and that actually at the end, the player that's been discovered by the daughter of the scout, who's a lawyer, by the way, and see, well, not only does she recognize talent, but she can go ahead and be an agent as well. I guess you have to have both of those elements. I mean, you have to be a scout and being able to assess the value of what a player can achieve, to be able to say, yes, you can have a future with this, but then represent them as well.
Absolutely. I always have lived by the rule of you give everybody the benefit of the doubt. You watch, you observe, you're out there, and you're, again, learning your players, characteristics on and off the field. So for me, I give everybody the opportunity. I give everybody, look, talent is talent. I always said that scouts are going to find talent, no matter where you're at, whether it's the cornfields of Iowa or if it's in the sunny South Florida, you're going to get found. But stick with the game, play it the right way, play it the way it's supposed to be played, with respect of it. I'm a true believer in respect of this game. I love this game more than sometimes I love pizza. You know what I mean? So, and I'm Italian and I love pizza. For me, there's nothing else better than this game. And I've been blessed enough to get to the point where I am today and make this a part of my life and a part of my career. And, whether with hurdles in the road or bumps or whatever, I've overcome a lot, because it's not easy for a guy of my caliber to make it in an agency business and as a sports agent in this industry. It's very tough going up against some very powerful guys, some very guys that are, very well seasoned and been around a long time. And, I've been doing this for about 12 years now. So, although that seems like a long time, it's not. There's guys out there who've been doing it 30 plus years. For me, again, I look for good players. I look for loyalty. I look for honesty. I look for tools. I look for everything when it comes to recruiting a player. And to me, there's nothing better than being in this game, and I enjoy every moment. Again, I can't say how much I am blessed, because a lot of people dream about doing this job and very few succeed. And I've succeeded. And I can say that wholeheartedly, honestly, because I've seen it, and I'm not trying to pat myself on the back or give myself an award. I know how hard it was to get to this point, and I got told no plenty of times that I would never succeed in this, and I have. So I bring that point up because if you're a baseball player, no matter how many times somebody tells you no, if you got a heart and a passion for this game, and you want to truly play it at the high level, you just continue to keep working hard, and hopefully things work out for you.
Well, I think it's a good note that any baseball player should take under their cap about playing hard and the passion and determination. One, that they'll be found, and two, if they stay with it, they're going to be able to advance. Obviously, you've done a lot. You wouldn't have 40 clients that you're working with already if you hadn't built up some clientele, if you weren't already being respected. And now, Phil, you've gone ahead and merged with Agency One Sports Group, and they did more with NFL, but now the whole company with Agency One Sports Group is going to be advanced simply because it's more global in what you're able to do with sports. So
absolutely
exciting times. Anything else we should know about Agency One Sports Group?
Well, first off, you stop yourself short there. You could say it was Primetime Sports Group. Look, I was a boutique agency. I had my niche. I had my way of doing things. It was time for me now to lead into your question. Agency One Sports Group is going to continue and further my career on as it's been going, which is up. We're going to continue to keep rising to the occasion as a group, as a unit, as a family environment for everybody that is with us and that wants to come along with us. That's what you're going to get. You're going to get a good family environment. You're going to get now a very big agency, not only on the football side, but the baseball side as well. I've always said to keep my model the exact same way is by how I became successful. So nothing's going to change because we have a new logo and it's a new name. The model stays the same. Go out there, treat your clients with respect, get the good-hearted players that truly want it, that truly have the passion to do it, that work hard, have the hard work ethic, and we continue on to keep supporting those clients on and off the field. And that's nothing has changed. The only thing that's changed is the logo. That's it. I'm still Phil Terrano. I'm still a sports agent, still been doing this for a long time, still have a passion for the game. Nothing changes. For me, it's just a good opportunity to work alongside great individuals, work alongside a professional agency that's been around for a while and another avenue of sports. And now I bring my knowledge and my expertise and my client roster into that mix. And that's what it's all about. Look, change happens every day. So for me, it's a change, but it's for the better and it's for good. For me and my clients, this just opens up so many more opportunities and so many avenues for them to succeed on and off the field.
Well, it's exciting to hear that, the new change, but it's also an advancement and development, like you said, of what you can do and what you can do for your players. I respect that a great deal. And I'm thankful that you're there because that's what is keeping the heart pumping of baseball. It's exciting for me to continue to watch the game. But if it weren't for you and those players, I'd be sitting in front of it too with just nothing, just a black screen. But anyway, I don't get out to the field. I don't get out the field enough. I'm going to do a lot more about that next year. Let's see what else. Phil, I can't thank you enough for joining us here today, buddy. It's been great having you once again.
No, I appreciate it, Mark. It's always a pleasure to be on your show. I can't thank you enough for having me, and we should do this more often. I enjoy it. I truly enjoy the questions and explaining to people that listen to your show and your audience, how I've gotten to where I am today, and I feel like deep down in my heart, I'm an example for people that really truly just want to work hard and achieve their goals. So for me, that's even more of a blessing. I continue to get to share my story with people that are out there that, maybe thinking they can't do it for whatever reason. I'm here to tell you can.
Once again, thank you, Phil Terrano, and he's Vice President of Baseball Operations, and that's for Agency One Sports Group. So thank you, Phil, and we look forward to talking with you again real soon, buddy.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it. You have a great day. Happy holidays to you.
Thank you. You too, my friend.
You've been listening to Baseball Biz. As always, you can find us on your favorite podcast directory, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and more. Thanks again, and remember, you can also check us out on Twitter at TheBaseballBiz. Take care and have a great week. Special thanks to X-Take RUX for the music Rocking Forward.